If you can see the presentation without any trouble, please confirm by commenting on the chat panel so that I can move on with the training today. Good morning, everyone. If you can hear me and if you can see the presentation without any trouble, please confirm by commenting on the chat panel so that I can proceed with the training today. Thank you for the confirmations. So I'm your trainer for today. My name is Arjun Premkumar, and I'm a product expert for Manage Engine Network Configuration Manager, which is part of the Manage Engine ITOM Solutions suite. So the build number that I am using in my instance of NCM is 12.5.329. So this is the build that I'll be using to show you the live demo during the training session. If you're not on this build, please do upgrade so that you can start using all of our recent enhancements and features. So to check your build, all you have to do is go to the NCM UI. You can click on the user icon here on the top right corner. And here you'll see the build number. So you can see that I'm using 12.5.329. If you're not on this build, please do upgrade. So today is the second part of the two-part training session. And if you've not seen the first part of the training session, you can go and check out our YouTube channel of Managed Tech Videos to go and view the first part of the training. So today we'll be looking into configlets, compliance, role-based access control, and reports. So here's the detailed agenda of the training session for today. First, we'll be looking into configlets, what they are, how you can use them to automate and execute various simple and complicated network configuration tasks. Then we'll be looking into compliance and how you can create your own policies within NCM to ensure that you stay compliant with industry standards and internal policies that your business might have. And then we'll be looking into role-based access control and how you can leverage approval-based configuration upload changes to ensure that there are no faulty configurations uploaded into your network configuration, into your network devices. And then we'll be looking into schedules, which you can use to automate or schedule various network configuration tasks like a configuration backup, a startup running configuration sync, or even generating a report. And then we'll be looking into configuration search, which you can use to search for a particular string in the configuration files of all the devices in your network. Then we'll be looking into the reports that you can generate using NCM. And finally, we'll be looking into the integrations that NCM has. So first, let's look into configlets. So configlets are simply executable configuration templates. So NCM comes with a set of built-in configuration templates or configlets with which you can execute simple and complex operations. And you can also create your own set of configlets as per your requirement. So you can apply these configlets to devices to execute certain network configuration tasks. So there are CLI configlets, and in the recent versions of NCM, you can also see the REST configlets operations. So you can use either of them based on your network requirement and the type of devices that are in your network. So they are mostly used to fix faulty devices by uploading a new configuration file, or you can execute certain changes in the configurations by enabling or disabling the SNMP. You can also execute network operation tasks like upgrading the firmware of the device remotely. So there are three types of execution modes in the configlets. So you'll see them while you're trying to add a new configlet. So the three execution modes are the file transfer mode, the script execution mode, and the advanced script execution mode. So before I show you how to add a configlet, let me just walk you through these execution modes. So first we have the script execution mode. So this is commonly used when you want to execute a configuration script in a single device or multiple devices simultaneously. So An example of a script execution mode configure would be a script template that is used to enable or disable SNMP in a single device or multiple devices at the same time. So here's a comparison of how the commands would look on a PuTTY window and on the NCM configlets window. So on the left side, the black window is the PuTTY window where you manually enter all the commands every time you want to execute that particular operation. And on the right side is the white window, which is the configlet console within NCM. So here are the commands. So the commands remain the same for both the Telnet or PuTTY console and NCM console. So let me just take you to the UI and show you how you can add a script execution mode configlet. So you go to config automation here, the configlets option. You can click on the add configlet button here. So here you can give the configlet a name, the type of execution mode. You can choose from these two. So I'm just selecting the script execution mode. I can choose the vendor. So I'm just selecting a vendor here. I can give this configlet a description, and here is where the configlet command goes, the configuration script template goes. And once I've entered all the commands here, I can choose to enable or disable this particular option, which will help you perform a configuration backup before and after every time you've executed this particular configlet. So once you're done entering all that, you can click on save. So let me just show you an example of a configlet in this particular execution mode. Go to CLI configlets here. Go and search for a configlet that is in this particular mode. So this configlet is in the script execution mode, and it is used to export the flow of a 3COM device. You can see that the execution mode has been selected here, the vendor has been selected here, a description, and here are the commands. So done with that, you can just click on save. And if you want to execute this configlet, all you have to do is click on the execute button here. So in this window that pops up, you can choose to enter a same value for all the device, a different value for each device, the NetFlow IP, the flow port here, and here you can select the device. So you can choose a single device, or you can just choose multiple devices, or you can just select a specific device group, this option. Choose to enable or disable this option according to your requirement. Then once you click on execute, this config will immediately be executed on all the devices that you just selected. Here you can go and view the execution history, the configlets, view the CLI and REST configlet execution history here. These are the CLI configlets, and here are the REST configlets that are available on NCM. If you want to know a little more about these configlets, feel free to drop your questions in the chat box. Our team of experts will answer your questions immediately. And if you've not received any answers to your questions, do not worry. We will get back to you via email very soon. So next we have the advanced script execution mode. So this is used when the flow of the execution prompts the user for confirmation, like a yes or no confirmation, or if the prompt changes after a command execution, say it goes from a hash to a question mark or the other way around, this particular execution mode is used. It is also used when the command execution takes more time and you might need to extend the timeout so that the particular command or the operation is executed. So you can use the advanced script execution mode there, or you can use it to stop the command execution flow if there's any kind of error that arises while you're executing that particular configlet, or if you want to change the execution of flow based on how the device is responding to the configlet execution, you can use this particular execution mode. So here's an example. So here you can see that the prompt changes from a hashtag to a question mark here. So in such cases, you can use the advanced script execution mode. So this is just copying a image. So I'll just show you an example. This is advanced script execution mode. So here you can see that the execution mode has been selected as the advanced script execution mode. You can select a vendor according to your requirement, enter the content here, click on save, then you can go back and execute that particular configlet. So here's another advanced script execution mode configlet for a complex operation. So here it is used to upgrade the firmware of a Cisco iOS device. You can see that the execution mode has been selected as the advanced script execution mode. The vendor has been selected, and the configlet content has been entered here. So this is similar to the example that we just saw on the slide. So next we have the file transfer modes. This is the last of the three configlet execution mode. So this is used when you want to upload a particular configuration file to a single device or multiple devices simultaneously. So it's very commonly used to upload the startup running configurations. So let me show you an example of the file transfer mode. So this is configlet that is used to load the startup configuration. Startup config upload, name, the execution mode has been selected here. Choose a vendor here, give a description, enter the configlet content here, along with the entire configuration file that you want to be uploaded to the device, then click on save. And again, if you want to execute this, all you have to do is click on the execute button here. If you want to schedule it for a later time, you can click on schedule. Give the schedule a name, schedule type, select the vendor, choose to enable or disable this option, choose to receive a scheduled report in one of these formats, enter all the specifics here, choose the devices, get a report notification after the schedule has been executed, enter all the specifics here, choose the frequency and the time and date, and then you can click on save, and NCM will ensure that the operation is executed on time. So next we have another important feature, which is compliance. So you'll have to stay compliant to various industry standards like the PCI policy, the HIPAA policy, SOX policy, and Cisco IS policy. So with NCM, you can ensure that all of these policies are complied with you in your network. So Network Configuration Manager checks the devices and the configuration files to ensure that all the rules in those policies have been followed by and they are completely compliant with all the rules and policies that are present in the instance of NCM. So you have to ensure that the network configurations or the network devices are compliant with certain policies to ensure that the network security is at an optimum range, and you'll have to ensure that the network is compliant to make sure that you avoid or any type of vulnerabilities or loopholes that can lead to a network disaster or any other kind of a network issue. And also, if you're not compliant with all of these industry standards, and if you do not conduct an audit every year or every quarter, you might face legal consequences where you'll have to pay heavy fines to the industry or to the government. So with NCM, we have default policies. So all of these policies appear in your instance of NCM in the compliance module by default. So these policies are Cisco iOS policy, HIPAA policy, SOX policy, and PCI policy. So you can go ahead and start running checks for these policies immediately after you install NCM and associated devices. And if you want to create custom policies to ensure that you comply with other industry standards or internal policies, you can go ahead and create your own custom policies. So to create a custom policy, you'll have to first create a custom rule with which you can create a rule group, a custom rule group, and then you can create a custom policy. So while trying to create a rule, you can either clone a rule that is very closely related or very identical to the rule that you're going to create, or you can just go ahead and add a rule from scratch. So there are three criteria that you can choose from while creating a rule, which is the simple criteria, the advanced criteria, and the advanced custom criteria. So let me just talk about each of these criteria, and I'll show you how to add a new rule or a custom rule within NCM. So first we have the simple criteria. So this is used when you want to check if the configuration file contains or does not contain a particular string that you're going to enter, and you can also specify the number of times that particular string must appear in the configuration file. So let me take you back to the UI and go and click on the compliance module here. So let me take you to the rules tab here first. So you can see that there are different rules here. So all of these is a combination of the custom rules and the default rules that come with every installation of NCM. So to create a new rule, all you have to do is click on the plus icon here. Select the criteria as a simple criteria. Choose a condition here, if the configuration file should contain or should not contain, or if it should contain the exact set, or if it should not contain the exact set of string that you're going to enter here. I'm just entering test string here. You can specify how many times you want this particular string to appear in your configuration file. Once you're done with all of that, you can click on next and give the rule a name, a description. Choose the violation severity based on how the violation of this particular rule will affect your network. You can give the remediation description. So this will help the user who's running the compliance check to understand what the user has to do if this particular rule has been violated by one of your devices. And then you can choose a remediation configlet here. So these are configlets that will help the user, the operator, the admin to immediately remediate a violation of this particular configlet. So this appears on the compliance report where you can directly execute it from and remediate the violation. So once you're done entering all of that, you can click on save. And the new rule that you create will appear here. If you want to just clone a rule, all you have to do is select the rule here, click on the green menu here, and you can click on clone rules. So you can just choose, you can select one or multiple rules here. Give the new rule a name, description, and you can click on save, and this new rule will immediately be cloned. So moving on to the advanced criteria. So this is used when you are checking your configuration files for patterns. And again, the conditions that are present in the simple criteria appear here. You can specify if it should contain or shouldn't contain this particular pattern. And you can also use and or conditions. And again, you can choose how many times the particular configuration string or the pattern must appear in your configuration file. So let me show you an example. So this particular rule is to check if the enable secret has been configured in your network devices. You can see here a pattern has been entered here. The advanced criteria has been selected, and the condition is that it should contain this particular pattern. The configuration file should contain this particular pattern. And you can add another condition here and use the and or options here. So you can just add another expression or a string here. Then you can click on next. Here you can enter the name, violation severity, give the remediation description, and if you have a remediation configlet ready, you can associate it here, or you can go back to the configlets module and create a new configlet, and then it will appear here and you can associate it immediately. So once you're done with that, you can click on save, and the new rule will appear here along with all the other rules. So you can go and look at the regular expressions and patterns that we have on our website. at help.networkconfigurationmanager.com/compliance v12. So we specified all the regular expression commands that you can use there. So next we have the advanced custom criteria. So this is also called the block criteria, and it is commonly used when the network admins or the network operators want to check only certain blocks of the configuration and not the entire configuration file itself for compliance. So here is an example. So here you can see that the interfaces have been displayed. The interfaces in a configuration file have been displayed here, and you can choose to scan only these interfaces for compliance with this particular criteria, and you can add an additional block criteria as well. So this is used when you want to omit some of these interfaces or the blocks from being checked for compliance. So here you can see that a couple of interfaces have been shut down. You can specify that in the the additional block criteria, so that NCM will omit these blocks when checking for compliance. And again, all the other conditions apply here from the previous rule criteria. So let me show you an example. So this is a rule that checks if the interface speed has been configured. So you can see that the configuration block start specified as interface, like we saw on the slide, and the config block end is an exclamatory mark. And the additional block criteria here is that the block should not contain the word shutdown or the string shutdown. So NCM will only scan the interfaces that are live and running for compliance. And here is the condition. So it should contain this particular pattern here to ensure that the interface speed has been configured in the device. Then you can click on next. So it's the violation severity here. Give the remediation description, a configlet if it's ready, or you can just go back to the configlet module and click on save. Create a configlet, and then here you can come and associate the configlet and click on save. So once you're done creating all of the rules that you want to be used in your new custom policy, you can go to the rule groups here. Here you can click on the plus icon. You can choose the rules. So all the rules will be displayed here, and you can choose the rules from this list. So you can choose all the rules that you created recently that you want to be included in your new policy. You can give the rule group a name, a description, then you can click on save. So once you're done with that, you can go to the policies tab. So here you can see all the available policies in this instance of NCM. This is again a combination of all the default policy that comes with your installation of NCM and the custom policies that have been created by the users that have access to this particular instance. So here you can create a new policy, clicking the plus icon, give the policy a name, give it a description, select the configuration type here. So if you wanted to be run on, if you want this compliance check to be run on running configuration, you can select that here. If you want it to be run on startup configuration, you can select that here. Again, you can choose to specify as you can choose for NCM to specify as the policy being violated if any rule has been violated, or only if the critical or major rules have been violated in the policy. And once you're done selecting one of those, you can go and choose the rule groups here, multiple rule groups, and click on next. Here you can associate devices. So every time you run a compliance check from this particular console, it will be run only on the devices that you've associated earlier. So you can choose device groups or individual devices. Then you can click on save, and you can always associate new devices to any of the policy here. So all you have to do is click on the associate devices to an existing policy, select the devices, and click on save. So we want to run a compliance check. All you have to do is go to the policy, hit run compliance check here, and it will immediately run a compliance check. So you can see that the compliance check operation is in progress. Once it is over, you'll get a notification, and you can also download the report, or you can generate a report here. So this comes in a PDF, CSV, PDF or CSV file format. You can also choose to receive it via email. Or if you want to view the compliance report directly in NCM, you can go to the reports tab here, go to compliance report. So here is the overall status of all your network devices. You can choose to export the reports in these particular formats. You can choose the device groups here. So here you can drill down into which policy the devices here violate, how many critical violations are there, how many major, how many warning, and how many rules it is compliant with. You will also see the last compliance check time. So this is something that I ran earlier, and the configuration test that I just initiated is still in progress. So I can go and just drill down and have a look at the rules that this particular device has violated and the ones that it is compliant with. And here is the remediation configure that I mentioned earlier and showed you during the demo of how you can add a template, a remediation template. And here you can just directly execute a template from here to remediate this particular violation. So all you have to do is click on this particular template here, enter the specific, and click on execute. And the violation will immediately be remediated by Network Configuration Manager. Again, you can also export all of the reports that are available, including the compliance report, and you can use it for auditing purposes. So next we have the role-based access control feature. So this is very important and a very useful feature when you have a huge network with several devices with multiple network admins or network operators making changes to those devices every day. So while making changes every day, the operators or the admins might upload a faulty configuration. So it is very important to ensure that all the configuration changes are being monitored and managed by a single person or multiple power users or admins so that no faulty configurations are uploaded to any of the devices in your network. So with this particular feature, there are two different kinds of network users: the admins who have access to all of the devices and who can make changes directly to the network devices, and the operators who have access to certain devices or all devices based on the scope, which I'll be talking about during the demo. And they can only request for configuration changes or uploads to the admins, and they will be approving it. So the operator would first request for a change, send a configuration file draft with an NCM. The admin will receive a notification saying that this particular user has requested for a configuration upload. You can go and look at the changes that that particular user has made and choose to approve or reject that particular configuration draft. And the operator would again receive a notification saying that the admin has approved or rejected his configuration upload request. So let me show you how you can create a user, a network operator, and how you can define a scope and how the entire role-based access control works. So you can see that I've logged in as an administrator here, and I'm going to create a new operator. So to create a new user or an operator, you can go to settings, go to user management, go to users. So this is a list of users that have been created or have access to this particular instance of NCM. So we can go and click on the add user. So I'm going to select the role as the operator, user type local authentication. I'm going to create a username and a password. You can give email ID here. Select the time zone. click on next. Here you can define the scope of the user. So this is very important to restrict the access that the user has on your network devices. So if you have a user that has to only make changes to the Cisco router group or the Cisco switch group or just the Cisco devices in your network and not the Juniper devices or any other vendor devices, you can select that here. You can specify all of that here. So you can go and select the device group here. So I'm just going to select Cisco router group, or you can choose individual devices as well. That is what you want to happen. So now I'm going to create this particular user and I'm going to log in as this user. I'm going to click on save. This new user has been added. Now I'm going to log in as this particular user. Select the local authentication here. Enter the password and logging in. So here, let me just show you that I've logged in with the new username that I've created, and my role here is an operator in the network. Let me just take you to the inventory. And here I'll only be able to view the devices within the scope of this particular operator. So I chose Cisco router group and I'll be able to view only the devices in that particular group. So I'm going to try and make a configuration change or a draft request here. Drilling down into the device, going into the snapshot page. I'm going to try and make a change to the running configuration of this device. So let me just click this current version. So you can view the configuration here. And I'm going to edit this configuration as a draft. Give the draft a name. An annotation just to help the admin better understand what kind of change you're making. So I'm again just going to enter a test change here. Once I'm done editing the draft, I can click on save or I can click on save and upload. I'm going to click on save and upload. So here you can see that NCM tells me that I do not have the upload permission, and clicking on upload will only send a request to the administrator. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to click on upload, and an upload request will be sent to the administrator. We go back to the admin login. So the notification will appear here, or you can go to the config automation, change notification, click on notifications here. Or you can go to the upload requests and pending requests here. Here you can see that the pending requests appear here. So this is the request that I just made using the new login. So I can choose to view the draft, the entire draft, or I can just approve or reject it directly if I know what kind of change has been made. And I can choose to give certain comments to just explain why I approved or rejected a particular configuration change, just to keep the operator informed. So this is very optional. You can do it if you want to. So I'm going to reject this particular configuration change. Going back to the operator login, here you can see that I've received a notification saying that the admin has rejected a request. So this is very useful when you want to keep track of all the configuration changes that happen in your network as an admin. And it will also help moderate all the changes that are happening to ensure that your network is very secure and there is no kind of network disaster that can arise from a faulty configuration. So let's have a look at the tools within the NCM console. So there's a tools tab here. You can go and view each of these tools here. So there's a terminal tool with which you can execute configuration scripts or configuration commands. There's a ping tool. And there's an address monitoring tool, which has a MAC address and MAC address resolver and a DNS resolver. Then there's the network monitoring tool to check the availability of devices in your network. You can enter all the specifics here and scan. Then there's the SNMP tool, which will help you plot an SNMP graph. Then we have the workflow tool, with which you can create certain workflows using a drag and drop builder. So you can use this for any kind of IT automation task, or if you want to raise an alarm, or if you want NCM to perform a certain action if an alarm is raised. You can do all of that using drag and drop builders here. All you have to do is drag and drop it here, and you can customize it according to your requirement. So moving on to schedules, you can use this particular feature to schedule any kind of operation like a configuration backup, report generation. You can check the devices for compliance. You can also use it to execute configlets like I showed you earlier, and you can use it to sync startup and running configuration, and you can also use it for PCI review. So let me just take you to the console, go to config automation, go to schedules. So I'm just going to show you all the available schedules. And here you can choose to enable or disable a schedule after creating them, or you can choose to execute it then and there. So you can click on the plus icon here, create a new schedule. Here you can give the schedule a name, choose the configuration, the schedule type if you want it for a configuration backup or any other operation. Just choosing configuration backup here. I'm going to choose the device or the devices on which this particular schedule has to be executed, and choose individual devices or just groups. And I can choose to receive a notification here. I can choose to save the report in the server or just get an email with the report attached. I can send it to my email here. I can specify it here, give a subject here. And here I can choose when I want to receive this notification. If I want to be notified only if there's a failure in backing up a device, or if I want to exclude configuration difference from the notification that I'm going to receive, or if I want to be notified only if there's a change in configuration. So once I'm done selecting or unselecting all of that, I can go and choose the frequency here, choose the date and the time as when I want the particular schedule to be executed on, and then click on save. And here, once it appears here, you can choose to enable or disable that particular schedule operation. Next, we have the another useful feature, which is the configuration search. So you can use this to search for a particular string or command in your configuration file. So this will search, this is a global search, and it will search for the configuration files and the drafts throughout the network, throughout all the devices that have been associated with your instance of NCM. So I'm just going to perform a simple search. So here you can see that NCM has retrieved all the files and their versions and the devices that contain this particular string. So you can use this whenever you want to check if a network device or if multiple devices contain a particular string or command in their configuration files. So next we have the exclude criteria. So this is used when you want to exclude a particular command or a condition to be considered as a configuration change by NCM. So an example here would be clock time, which changes every minute, and NCM should not consider this as a configuration change. So if it does consider this as a change, it will start backing up or notifying you of a configuration change every minute. So you can go and add this as an exclude criteria and associate devices here. So let me show you the exclude criteria. Go click on settings here, click on exclude criteria. So here are the available exclude criteria. I'm just going to drill down into one of the criteria here. So this particular string has to be excluded as a configuration change by NCM. And then you can associate devices to that as well. So let me just show you how you can add devices here. So you just have to associate the device template of the device to which you want to associate this exclude criteria to. You can specify the criteria here. You want it to be clock time or something else, you can do that here. And then you can click on save, and that particular string or the condition or the criteria will be considered as will not be considered as a configuration change in your device. Moving on to alarms, this is a very interesting feature and a very useful feature that will keep you notified 24/7 about the various happenings and the various operations that would require your attention in your network. So you can also use the filters to filter them based on severity. Just take you to alarms here. You use the alarms tab. Just expand this particular pane. Here you can see the alarms categorized here. So they are categorized as critical, trouble, attention, or service down. So this is based on how this particular alarm or alert will affect your network. So the critical did not affect your network too much, and it goes up from there. So you can choose to acknowledge or unacknowledge alarms. So if you're a network operator that has taken care of an alarm or think that the alarm is not very critical or does not pose a threat to your network's operation, you can just go and click on acknowledge here, or you can just go and fix the issue and then acknowledge here. Or if you think that an alarm that has been already acknowledged is not fixed yet, the root cause has not been fixed yet, you can go ahead and unacknowledge the alarm so that you or some other admin who has access to this particular instance of NCM or your network can go and fix that particular issue. Next, we have the show commands. So these are usually used to display certain information of your device. So show you examples here. Go to settings, go to show commands. So these are a few examples. So this particular show command is used to show the version, display the version of that particular device. And here you can associate it to a vendor. So all the vendors under this particular, all the devices under this particular vendor will have the option of executing this show command in their snapshot pages. So you just have to click on add here, give the command alias, the actual command here, and select a vendor here. So to execute a show command, all you have to do is go to the inventory. From there, you go to the device snapshot page. So you go to the actions here, execute, and click on show command. So here you can choose from the show commands that have been associated to this particular device or the vendor. So you can see that it has been executed and the device version is being displayed here. And I can choose to export it as well. I can choose to view any other information here. So this shows the interfaces, this particular device. Choose to view the hardware information. So done with that, I can just close it or export it and use it later. So next we have reports. So NCM comes with a bunch of holistic reports that you can use for network compliance checks or network audits, or you can just save them for later, which can again be used for audits. So the reports available here are startup running configuration conflict report, configuration change reports, EOLEOS reports, and we have another bunch of useful reports as well. So you can click on the reports button here to view all the available reports. So here's the compliance report that I showed you earlier. Here's the EOLEOS report, the startup running conflict report. So let me just quickly take you to one of these reports. So here's the EOLEOS report. So this shows you the end of life and end of support of all the devices that are available in your network and that have been associated with NCM. So if you think that any of your devices are not being displayed here, you can always click on the Sync EOLEOS button here, or if that still does not help with your problem, if your network device is still not displayed here, you can click on request EOLEOS DB update, and this will send a request to our support technicians, and we'll get back to you and update the report as per your requirement very soon. So we have a dashboard which is very dynamic and user friendly as well, and every filter and every customization that you apply to the dashboard is user specific, and whenever the user logs in from a different geographical location, the filters and all the dashboards and widgets are retained there. So let me take you to the dashboard. So this gives you a summary of uh, different network operations or network tasks like configuration backup summary, the firmware vulnerability summary, policy violation summary, and so on. So I can just customize this, move this around, move these widgets around, and the filter will be saved. So I can click on save. And when I log in from a different geographical location with the same user credential, I will see that the filters and the customization that I've applied here will be retained. Again, you can add more widgets here as per your requirement, or you can remove any of these widgets from here. So moving on to integrations, we have a very seamless and tight integration with our own managed engine solution. Op Manager, which is the flagship product of the Atom Script solution. So this is a network monitoring solution, and you can integrate it and you will find it directly within the Op Manager console itself. You'll find NCM within the Op Manager console, and we have an integration with NetFlow Analyzer, another managed engine ITOM suite product. So this is a bandwidth monitoring tool. So you can use the NCM integration to execute tasks like traffic shaping using the information, the flow information that is collected using NetFlow Analyzer. Then we have an integration with Managed Engine Service Test Plus, which is a help desk solution. So you can use this to raise trouble tickets whenever something is wrong or whenever there's some kind of issue or request inside NCM. You can use this integration to raise tickets there so that the network admins or the operators can go and look at the tickets and perform operations accordingly. So if you're already a user of Network Configuration Manager, you can go and share your feedback on capta.com, and we'll send you a $25 gift card for every review you drop there for Network Configuration Manager. So to write a review, you can go and visit this particular link, and we'll be sending the link, the video recording, and the slides very soon after the training. So if you have any questions at all, please do feel free to ask it in the chat window here, and our experts will answer it to all the questions immediately. And you don't have to worry if you do not receive any answers. We'll get back to you via email. And if you have any other questions that you might have later, you can go and email us at ncm-support@manageengine.com. You can check out our earlier videos on our YouTube channel, which is Op Manager Tech Videos. You can go and check out the user discussions as well on our user forum, which is forums.manageengine.com/network configuration manager. You can go and participate and also view all the discussions that are happening. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you all have a great day.